Welcome back to another weekly edition of Cannonball Racing Analysis, where myself and Gavin deep dive into race analysis in the far Northern Territory. Hey Gav, how you going, buddy?
Morning, mate. Morning. Looking forward to sort of diving into another big weekend of racing in the NT. We've got a massive card, not a massive card, but it's a healthy card in Darwin of 6 races, and a really great card of racing on Sunday down at Alice Springs. I guess what we're looking at is three sort of races in each venue. We will sort of deep dive into that, give you sort of our bets and our best bets for those programs. But we've done all the form for all the racing there for the weekend. So if there's a race in particular you like, and we haven't sort of mentioned it in this sort of podcast and chat, we'll reach out to us through a individual message across any of those platforms, and we'll sort of throw them over to you and let you know where we sit with it. But yeah, big weekend, mate. Big weekend.
Beautiful. Just another thing out there. We do have a lot of platforms that are available at the moment, as we're getting a lot of followers and a lot of interest, guys, which is what we're here to do. Just to give the punters out there the extra edge and just let you know more about punting up in Northern Territory. So what we do, guys, we have a lot of platforms like Facebook, we have TikTok, we have Insta, and we have YouTube going at the moment. So with that means any questions that anybody has or any comments, please feel free to drop us a comment, or just jump in there to have a chat to us, as myself and Gavin is on there daily, and we're more than happy to help you guys with any questions that you have. This live podcast chat that we're doing will be dropped every week on Thursday around 4 o'clock. So please, guys, feel free to jump on board, have a follow with us there, and we'll keep this rolling. So what we're going to do now this week, we're going to deep dive into a little bit of last week's racing. It was up in Darwin. We're just going to quickly just go through, just do a quick brief on the racing up there last week, because Gavin's got a bit of intel up there as he spoke to a few of the jockeys, a few of the trainers up there about how the track went, how a few of our runners went, and just do a quick deep dive into that before we get into Darwin and Alice Springs, as we've got Darwin this week on the Saturday and Alice on the Sunday. So I'll hand it over to Gav, and he'll do a quick brief on it, and we can keep moving forward.
Thanks, mate. So as you know, I've got people in the know up there everywhere. I've got some eyes and ears on the ground for me. There's a little bit of information which come to hand about last Saturday's sort of track condition up there. Now look, for those who sort of don't know much about NT and the track and how it's sort of presented, twice a year they oil the track up there, all right? At specific times to ensure that the track is sort of raceable and in a fast condition most weeks. Now, have some sort of info that the track was a bit late getting oiled this year up there. It was about 3 weeks late, which sort of, probably when I look at the dates, that would have been around the Alice Springs Carnival, because most of the horses were racing down there, and the track wasn't being used a lot up there as opposed to what Alice was. So really what we found is that the track last Saturday hadn't quite taken enough. So the track was a little bit sticky, and there was quite a bit of kickback, which was sort of affecting quite a number of horses. So we had reports of quite a number of runners sort of returning back to scale, had a pattern of oil sort of base across their chest and on their face. So that caused a little bit of issues with some of the runners. Now, when I went back and had a look at the videos, last Saturday's meeting was a particularly leader sort of dominated meeting. Well, leader dominated, but on the pace sort of meeting.
Yep.
Didn't see a lot of horses run on, mate.
No.
And I had a look at the times as well, and the times were particularly slow from last Saturday. A couple of examples, like there was a couple of 1,300 metre races. They were sort of, they were running at the high 1:15s, 1 minute 15 sort of races in almost 1 minute 16. So that's particularly slow up there. And I mean, the last 600 metre sections were, they were sort of like maiden paces. There was lucky to break 37 seconds up there last week. And it was that's just all down to this sort of track. Now, what I've got coming every Saturday morning to sort of assist with the followers, and I've got an independent track report which is going to be arriving at me on Saturday morning. So I'm going to post that on my Twitter account. Now, if you haven't followed me on Twitter, or followed us on Twitter, the Twitter account is under Gavin McDonald /Cannonball Racing. Just sort of look for that, or it'd be at GTrain and it'll come up and you'll see. So I'm going to post that just to give an updated track report every Saturday morning of how it's faring. Now, we don't get a lot of track changes up there, Timbo.
No.
So this is quite unusual for Darwin, but we're just going to monitor it until that oil sort of beds in, surfaces, and we get that sort of rock hard, fast sort of electric sort of track up there.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just run quickly over some of our best bets from last week and let the punters know about where we're at with them. I guess quite a number of you followed my horse, which I own. I'm a puppet. I was equally as disappointed as everybody else. It's quite evident that kickback just absolutely cruel her chances. She hates stuff in her face. She actually, after a scratching, went down to barrier 1. Not a great spot for her to be. Now, look, she's in a race this week. She's drawn to barrier. We backed her up over 1,300. She's drawn wide, which is good for her. Now, look, we won't go too much into her, but very well placed. She looks a massive chance. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Now, I'll just before you jump in there, mate, I'll just talk about First Crusade, which we also tipped last week. Now, we got beat, a nose, and yeah, we probably got a little bit too far back. I think if you reverse the barriers, it probably would have been a different result. I had a chat to Chloe Baxter, which is the owner and the trainer up there for it. She comes on the sort of Gary LaFoe stable up there, but yeah, Chloe was praising of the horse. She said it was a massive run. She actually agreed that the barrier probably played a little bit of a part in getting beaten by that short margin. So we were close last week in terms of that runner there. But I know we actually labelled another one, mate.
Yeah, we did. We labelled one of my best bets, obligatory for the day. Just with Gavin talking about that track condition, obligatory should have been, it was a little bit too far back. Come to the home turn, it was about 4 or 5 back. That horse needs to be up more on the pace, needs to be sitting about 1 off, 1 back. Just got a little bit too far back, and I just don't think he liked that kickback going back in his face. He did wind up in the last 100 metres, which you've seen, which he started to make some late ground. I just think if he was up on pace a little bit more, he would have been definitely a lot more in the finish. He did finish second at a price of $2.30 a place in a small field. So yeah, it's just one that guys definitely keep watching him, as I'm pretty sure Toddy will be back on board. Not that Nicholas didn't do a good job, but yeah, I think he's just one that we should just keep following up there.
Yep. We like obligatory. We've had a lot of success with this horse. So no, with the racing, there's always excuses.
Yep.
We'll sort of have a look at that a bit deeper, and we'll see where we go from that moving forward. Now, let's sort of tuck into Darwin this week. Had a good look at the program. We've poured over videos. We went through some mapping of the races, and we found some horses that we're particularly happy with. And there's 3 races that we're sort of going to cover in Darwin. So I know, mate, you have gone straight off the bat. Race 1. What do we got?
Race 1, guys, over the 1300. We're going to try and start the card off with a good win. I think it's a horse. I think it's a race out of 2. There's a horse in there called Razoo from the Clark stable. Very good. Likes to lead. But I think we've got a horse here called Elmore Lad that actually comes from the Melbourne. It's the first start. It's the first start up in Darwin. The distance should be no dramas at all. He jumps good. But the only thing we have found out, he actually plays up in the mounting yard. He has been scratched a couple of times, which he has to go back and he has to show that his behaviour is good. But if this horse can play up good, not play up in the barriers, in the mounting yard, he has a very good chance. If you follow his form from last start, he was 3 wide. He worked 3 wide the whole race, got to the lead and actually got pipped on the post about 50 metres out in the last 50 metres. So I think as long as he can handle the dirt up there, he should be right in the finish with Adam Nicholas on board. If he can get to the lead or sit out just behind him, as Razoo will try to lead as well with Toddy on board, I think he should be he should try to finish. Last 50 metres he should be too strong to the line.
Yeah, he looks all class, this horse. I guess the only sort of concern there is it's his first start in the territory, start in the dirt. Sort of, I think what we're looking at here, and Timbo sort of got into it, we're probably going to rely on a little bit of class here. And when I actually jumped into this horse as well, and we went back through his form, now, this horse, he got beat by one called Estrell Park. down in Victoria there a couple of starts ago. Now Estral Park went down a couple of starts later and ran into Group 3 Vamos Stakes at Launceston. Got beat 1.5 lengths for second.
Good form.
That form is incredible. Now, you have to think about that. That sort of horse there is just probably going to marry up near the front. He handles the dirt. He almost looks a good thing for the day.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
He's definitely the class runner of the race.
Yep. So moving forward on that, I think Elmore Lad should, hopefully, fingers crossed, guys, should actually get a sit off Razu, Razu will try to lead. He'll get the sit off him and try to pounce on him late. So our numbers on that race, guys, will be Elmore Lad to win from Razu, and we're going to rack in New Roman. He went to Tennant Creek last start. I just don't think he handled the track down there, as the track conditions are a lot different from Darwin to Tennant Creek. A lot more powdery, the surface down there. The Tennant Creek surface is, like I said, a lot more powdery than it is up in Darwin, like Gavin was talking about on that oil-affected track. So I just don't think he handled it down there. So we're going to give him another chance, and just follow this bloke, and we'll see how he goes. So we'll put him in for third as well.
Right. What's your numbers again, mate? Just
so we'll go Elmore Lad from Razu into New Roman. So 2-3-1 for that race.
Great start to the day, guys. Jump on that. This sort of runner, I think there could be some things in store for this runner up here. It has a real sort of appearance that they've got the Darwin Carnival in mind.
Yep.
So getting it ready now. A couple of starts before those sort of bigger events sort of roll in there, and yeah, he looks a great start to the program.
Just remember that, guys. Playing up in that mounting yard and handles the track. So hopefully he handles the track. Plays, does everything right, goes up there for his first start, and kick away and win.
Great.
All right, Gav. What we got? Race 2.
No, we're going to go over to race 4. So this is the second race we're going to be sort of looking at for the day. Race 4. Now this has a pretty handy horse here from the Phil Cole stable. Now, this horse was previously handled by Kim Healy, who had an absolute massive carnival down in Alice. He was winning just races on his ear, picking them up on the week before, Saturday of the carnival. And this fella in particular got a horse called Starlight Valley. Now he won 2 on end down at Alice, and he won his previous at Morpheville before coming up to the Territory. Now, he jumping out of barrier 3. I believe our last horse there, Elmore Lad, I think he's got bigger targets in mind for the carnival, and particularly those 3-year-old races up there. Now, I know that that sort of Phil and Kim Healy are best mates, so that sort of stable sort of changeover makes sense. And I see Phil's wife's in on the ownership too. It's always a good pointer, so there's more reasons to win. We don't want to be upsetting the lady at home. So this horse looks almost like a good thing for us. He can just jump at the pace. He's been put under pressure. He's 2 down at Alice Springs. He just keeps coming on top. So he looks the class runner for the day. Now, the form behind him has been absolutely exceptional. We've had winners like Saken, which won at Tennant Creek a couple of weeks ago, and we've had Super Famous, which won last week in Darwin. Now, Super Famous is in the same race again this week with Starlight Valley. Last time they met, Starlight Valley sort of towed him up. I just can't see him sort of reversing those sort of placings, but looks the only danger to Starlight Valley. So I think that's our Quinella of the day. I think Starlight Valley into Super Famous. So that's sort of, as we know last week, Super Famous knocked off our best bet of the day, which was First Crusade. But we'll put him in there for the Quinella. It looks the obvious sort of pairing up front, and I just think we're going to be seeing some big things from this horse, Starlight Valley, over the carnival. All right. Okay,
so numbers there, Gav.
We're just going to stick with the Quinella there. We're going to stick with Starlight Valley and Super Famous. The rest of it's a bit of a lottery behind it. I think we'll leave it alone, and we'll just bank on the fact that Starlight Valley is going to be too good, and we'll be looking for Super Famous to sort of run into that Quinella for us, or maybe play the exacta.
All right, guys. So that's race 4 there.
Right. Now we're just going to go down to the back end of the program. We're going to go to race 6. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a horse here. It's a funny race. We've got 2 interstate sort of imposters, they might want to call it, in the Territory. And again, these horses which look like they're coming out for the Carnival Tilt. Now we've got 2 horses called Little Miss Rich and a horse called Swing with Junior. Both have really good southern form. But I just want to deep dive into this one in particular because I really like this horse. I think we're going to get okay odds. I think we're going to get each way odds about him. It's a horse called Little Miss Rich. Now he's actually at the moment with David Bates up in Darwin. Now the Bates stable's not a big stable, very tiny. Has horses like Hustle and Humph and Sebricate, which is Sebricate's racing early in the day. Now you have a look at through David's sort of strike rate, and it's fairly handy. So he manages a good team of quality horses. Now he's come over from the Mar Eustace stable. So Little Miss Rich was with Mar Eustace previous to Darwin. Had a race a couple of weeks ago. Clearly had no idea what dirt track racing was about. Got sort of read it as the barriers come up. Dropped 2 or 3 lengths last and just had a whole heap of kickback in his face now. First time races up there on the track, they don't often handle that sort of kickback, and he just lost his way, and he finishes at the back of the field. Now, I just think he looks the obvious sort of lead up on the pace, together with Swing with Junior. I think they're going to sort of share a bit of the tempo out in front. Now, what's really interesting is that he won the Stody Creek Maiden as a pretty big odds-on favourite there a few starts ago. This fellow Little Miss Rich, where there was I wouldn't call it a tearaway leader, but there's a leader out 2 or 3 lengths high rolling out in front. He sort of just trailed him in the race, come out and just went bang, put him away. Now, prior to that, which is where this gets really interesting. So just bear with me here. So a couple of starts ago, he's finished 2.5 lengths behind a horse called Ashford. This is back in December. So that doesn't look much on paper, and it's a standard sort of Colac maiden. Now Ashford came out. He had his next 2 at Stawell and Caulfield. So he's won there at Colac, goes and wins his next at Stawell, goes and wins his next at Caulfield. Then he jumps into the Group 3 Kevin Hayes, beaten less than a length by a horse called Argentina nonetheless. Argentina goes down to Adelaide, races in the Group 1, down near the Robert Sangster, finishes about 4 or 5 lengths off the leader. So these form lines are incredible. I mean, all we want to see is this horse, which I think now he's had a run on the track. He's had a bit more time to sort of get himself used to it. He is just going to be, he looks just too good along those form lines. So I'm banking on the fact he's going to jump, get himself out of all the trouble, sit out in front with Swing with Junior, and just be too classy. So we're going to go again just with the Quinella here. We're going to leave the 3rd placing alone. So we're going to marry these 2 up in the Quinella with Little Miss Rich as the standout top selection. Behind we'll Swing with Junior, who has got some really good form as well. It's his first start on the dirt, so there's a little bit of a thought process behind that. But he looks a class runner. These 2 look an absolute standout in this field. So Little Miss Rich is our bet in race 6, and it's followed by Swing with Junior to fill the Quinella.
Beautiful.
Righto.
So guys, that finishes off the card there in Darwin for the day. We'll just do a quick recap on our best of the day there, what we're going. So in race 1, guys, we've got Ellamore Lad, we've into Razu, into New Roman.
Yep, and race 4, we're going to be going hard at Starlight Valley. I'm not sure, when I had a look at the price market here on 100% market, I think we're going to be getting somewhere around 220, 230 its value. So if we can grab that, I think Super Famous will be there enough to let us get some value about this runner.
Yep.
Okay, so 220, 230, I reckon that's great value. If you can boost it up to 260, 270, you will get an absolute overs. So jump into him. And our one in the last, Little Miss Rich. Now this is going to be a great race. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to following these 2 horses carnival time as well. But Little Miss Rich will be our standout in race 6. All right.
Beautiful, guys. That's it for the Darwin card. We'll sit back and we'll see how she goes on the Saturday.
Righto. So just before we get into the Alice Springs chat, I just want to say, last week, mate, I said in the sort of podcast chat we had, does anyone know where Jarrod Todd is?
I didn't have a clue.
No, well, I didn't have a clue either, but I can tell you now, they have jumped out of trees. They have been emailing me, Twittering me, texting me. I've been inundated with people telling me where Toddy is. Have a guess where he is. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but Toddy come up to Darwin for a couple of reasons. He wanted a lifestyle change, better place for his family. Toddy has made the decision that there's going to be no more additions to the family, so he's been incapacitated somewhat. So he had to go to the doctor, do what he needed to do, recover. But the great man is back this week. We've seen him across a number of rides on Saturday, a number of rides on Sunday. So we know where Toddy's been. Just want to give a quick call out to, while I remember, for just to Sonia Wiseman. Sonia's arguably our leading female jockey up in the territory.
One of the best.
Yeah, she had an absolute massive carnival last year, riding winners left, right, and centre. And just want to say a big call out to Sonia. I know she's a fan of the program. So, mate, let's hook into Alice Springs. And again, you're going to kick it off straight into race one. I don't know how he does this, but he wants to start off the program in a big way. So, what have we got race one, mate?
Guys, we always want a bit of extra money in our pocket for the race day, for the end of it. So, let's kick off Alice Springs race one on the Sunday. Guys, this is a 1,200 metre race. Guys, I've narrowed this down to two horse runners only. There's a horse in there called Miles Per Hour and a horse called Morty. Now, these two have battled it out 2 starts ago. I'll start on with Miles Per Hour first. His distance is sensational. He's 5 starts at the distance, 3 wins and a second. Loves the track also. Same class he gets. He jumps good. He tries to lead as well. If he can't lead, he's going to just sit back and wait for the last.
Track specialist, mate.
Track specialist, that's it.
Distance specialist.
That's it. So if you follow him the last start or last 2 starts, you'll see how wide he was. He tried to go on the pace quick. He just didn't have the pace to get around him. He was 3 to 4 wide. So he had no other option than just ease back, pull back on him, and then try to get over him late.
When Timbo and I were chatting about this race, I had a look at the video. This run was absolutely massive. Yeah, and this is certainly a class drop for him. So
yeah. If he drew inside that in that race there, you would have seen him a lot closer in the finisher than he was. He draws barrier 5 today, which shouldn't be too bad, as he'll try and cross and he'll try to lead. He's got the same jockey on board and he can handle the weight as he's top weight in that race. There's another horse in there called Morty. These two battled it out last 2 starts ago, and actually he actually beat Preal the last 2 starts. He got picked at he picked him at the line. The extra 100 metres, then that should come back, should actually benefit Miles Per Hour a lot better than it showed with Morty.
Right.
So they both can jump good, but I expect Morty to actually lead and actually Miles Per Hour just to sit off his back. I'd like to see him up on pace, a lot closer than what he was, and then actually just peel up him around that turn, and he should be a lot fitter from that last run.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting Miles Per Hour to just sit back off him, pounce on him late, and pick Morty on the line. There's a horse in there called Fantasy Eagle also. It's his first start on the track in the distance. He's come all the way up from Sydney, so we just want to keep a watch, as it's a small field there. So we just want to keep a watching him there and just see how he goes, and just follow him in to see where he goes after these 2 races. So here I'm going to go Miles Per Hour to win, into Morty to run second, into Fantasy Eagle to run third.
Great start of the day. There we go. So we're going to kick the program off with a winner.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Miles Per Hour. And I just did notice that Jessie Philpott has been the regular rider. She's obviously going. Yes. Jesse's going to be riding her again. So that's a really sort of good lead up to us as well.
Yep.
Right. So over to me now. I'm just going to we're just going to go down towards the middle of the program, and we're going to just go down to race 4. Now this is a maiden. I know, 1,200 metres. Now, I know you're laughing, but you might remember that I tipped one at Tennant Creek a couple of weeks ago as an absolute standout. Now, that was a horse called Redenzo Lad. Now, he's in this race on Saturday. He's a massive chance, but I'm not going with him. Hear me out before hear me out before you sort of judge me on this. So, there's a horse in the race called Tycon Dior. Now, Paul Denton on, barrier 2. Now this fella, his form lines are just sort of next level. He's got form lines through Starlight Rebel, okay, as well, which is from the Kim Healy stable, which was winning. Now, what I really wanted to sort of mention here is that his first start was behind a really good horse from the Terry Gillette stable down in Alice Springs called Bench Press. Now he got beat ahead by this horse down there first up. Now, mate, if Bench Press was in this race, it's winning by about 7 or 8 lengths. Absolute panels.
Good horse.
Good horse. It's drawn well. Denton's on. Now, when I had a look at the last race there in this sort of Starlight Rebels race, this fella sort of got... He jumped out beautifully, pinged the lids, got on the bunny, and then was just absolutely under pressure, from the 600, 700, 800 out. He kept fighting, got run down absolutely late. So I just think he maps well. He sits on the pace. He looks bulletproof. And we got Denton back on, so he looks an absolute massive chance. So I'm actually going to pick him on top of Redenzo Lab, which I labelled a couple of weeks ago down at Tennant Creek. He's the obvious danger. A couple of concerns with Redenzo, finding it hard to win at the moment. I thought if he breaks his maiden at Tennant, then he's probably going to go on with it. He still hasn't done it. So there is my mind going. I'm not sure we can load into him again. He's drawn wide. He missed a kick there at Tennant Creek, which I wasn't happy about, and he's an actually natural leader. So he's drawn 3 or 4 or 5 outside our top selection, Tycoon Dior. He can't cross him, so the lead's going to be Denton's. There should be a minimal pressure. This is not a big field, this one, so minimal pressure. I think what we're going to do is we're going to see a softer lead, and I think Tycoon Dior, based on these form lines through bench press and based on the form lines through Starlight Rebel, he looks too good for him at the moment. So we're going to run with that. We're going to run with the Cornella as well. So we're going to pick Redenzo Lad to run into second. This poor old fella, he's probably going to get another placing on the weekend.
Non-winner.
Well, that's the problem. He's a non-winner. So
That's right.
we like I said, we thought his day was a couple of weeks ago at Tennant Creek. So let's write this down. So we're going to be going race 4, number 6, Tycoon Dior. And we're going to be looking for the runner-up there in Redenzo Lad, okay, from the Will Savage yard, Casey Hunter to ride. All right, so now, mate, I think we've got one to go at Alice, and we're going down to we're going to bookend the program, races 1 and 6.
We are, guys. We're going to have a fill up before the end of the day.
Beautiful.
Last race, so race 6 over the 1,000 metres. Guys, it's a pretty tough race, guys. I think we're going to narrow it down to a 3-horse field. There's a horse in there called Devil's Temptation, and Al Luca and Roughly. Guys, I've done the form. I have gone back over the form. I've done that much form and videos. I've spent spent days doing this.
He called me
race.
yesterday, said he had a headache from doing video, and said, mate, get over it. Come on, this is what we're here about. So,
but guys, I've done it all. I'm actually going to tip the top weight, Devil Temptation. He's got Jarrod Todd on board. He is very strong to the line. Last start, before that, he went to the Pioneer Sprint. Looking at that run, guys, I just don't think he didn't handle the pace up front. You'll see him, other horses were just way too quick for him. He sat back midfield on the rails. He did come home, but the other horses were just a class above him, and I think just the sprint over there was just actually too quick for him. I think he was out of his league that start. But so now he jumps back to the 1,000 metres, which is a distance which he likes. And like I said, Jarrod Todd back aboard. I think he's going to just sit off them, as there's 2 horses in this race, Al Luca and Roughly.
Yeah.
2 massive speedsters in this race. So I'm expecting Al Luca, as I know it's a leader as well. It also went to the Palmerston Sprint and ran, I think, 3rd in the Palmerston Sprint. Hugged the rails, chased the bunny, and actually flew home as well. But I think Al Luca and Roughly will be the 2 speedsters. Exactly what it happened last start is Devil Temptation sat off Al Luca, come to the last 50 to 100 metres. Devil Temptation drew out wide, actually finished off and beat him by a length and ran a 56, which is a quick time over the 1,000.
Yeah, that's electric, mate.
That is a quick time.
Yeah, 56 anywhere in Australia is fast.
Yeah.
Now that's a lightning point, and it beat 2 good horses in Eastwood and Brian Spade. So that form one, bodes well. And back to the 1,000. So
back to the 1,000. So that speed battle, guys. He wants that speed battle up front, which Al Luca, I know he'll be pressing for the lead, and he'll try to get it, which I know he will. Roughly, also, you go back through its last 5 starts, you'll see it actually ping the lids as well, and it actually likes the lead as well.
Nice.
But I'm hoping Devil's Temptation can just sit off him, just let those 2 go out in the speed battle, and just peel it off him in the last 100, 200 metres, and then just finish over the top of him.
Right, so just run through that again. So that's what we've got. Devil's Temptation on top.
Devil Temptation on top, and then we're going to have Roughly and to Al Luca. I think Al Luca will actually die because it's going to try and get that speed. It's just going to burn out over the last 50 metres. So we'll go, Devil Temptation in the roughly into El Luca.
And I do notice that Jarrod Todd's on it too, mate. So
It is, mate. My jockey's
big
back
bonus,
on board.
big
So
bonus. The man-
he's back.
yes, the King of the North is back, so good to have him back in the saddle, and hopefully we'll finish that program off well. So it looks like we're going to bookend it and get one in the middle, and it could be it looks like a fill-up weekend.
It could be, hopefully.
Yeah. So look, just want to go over what Timbo said earlier at the start of the podcast about where we can be found and when this is posted. So all across our platforms. So we've got our Facebook account, which is under Cannonball Race Analysis. We got our Instagram, and we got our YouTube. So here we are. So make sure you follow us on there, and just remember, every Thursday, no later than 4 p.m. will this video be sort of posted. We had to remind a few people yesterday because we were getting reached out of when are you posting, when is this coming up. So this is going to be a weekly occurrence.
Yep.
We are in the middle of sort of having a look at podcast options, so we can actually get dial in. So we're going to be talking to some racing identities up in the NT and people who are involved in racing through our podcast, so we can get more involved. So. Not only are we bringing you racing tips and some mapping of racing, a bit more education. What we're here to do is we're here to highlight NT racing.
That's it. Promote it. Get it out there, guys. We love the feedback. This is what we're all about, helping you guys out, giving you a bit more knowledge up there. As I know the exposure up there, as we're getting comments and everything from all the trainers up there, the jockeys, guys. They've got shares up there, horsing up there. We just want to get Northern Territory racing up to the next level as. It's good racing up there. It's great.
Yeah, it's undervalued. The Territory's a fantastic place to not only bet in, as we've previously mentioned, but to own racehorses up there. The prize money is exceptional for like sometimes you're getting 6 to 8 sort of field races. Like it's incredible. So. And I'm speaking from experience, so I can tell you right now, the trainers are up there, are fantastic guys. Open, you can call them on the phone anytime. So here we are, we're sort of looking after NT racing, and we want to bring more of a highlight to what we do up there. So, good chatting, mate.
Beautiful, guys.
Thanks, Gav. We'll load in again Saturday and Sunday, and we'll sort of report back. So keep an eye on our platforms and keep an eye on the Twitter account for the track upgrade for Saturday morning, or the track update for Saturday morning. All right, so happy punting. Chat to you soon.